G'day everybody, welcome back. XS1100 1978 XS1100E jumping out of second gear. Let's get on with it. So quick backstory, this is XS1100E, as I said, owned by a guy here in Tassie who's relocated here from Vic. He bought the bike in Tas. It has a known second gear issue. He was a little bit surprised just how bad it was, and he wasn't quite sure what the problem was. Reached out to me through Andy's Motorcycle Obsessions Facebook page, asked me if I could help or could recommend somebody who could help. So I put my hand up and said, yeah, let's get this thing sorted out for you. So he's dropped the bike off and we're going to go through now and try and rectify this issue. So the guts are going to have to come out of the gearbox. That cluster shaft's going to have to come out, fifth gear off, second gear off, carry out repairs if we can, replace if we can't. I have a good spare set of, I have a good spare second gear and fifth gear here that I've been keeping just in case, and this might be that just in case. First thing we're going to need to do is put it in fourth gear, because it's a lot easier to get all the selectors and everything lined back up again, and that's what the manual recommends that you do. So we put it in fourth gear and jack up the back wheel, put it in fourth gear, remove the exhaust, drain the oil. Here we go. No, we'll never see that again. Okay, that's the exhaust off, and we found the nut that got lodged up in between the engine and the exhaust system when I dropped it. Put these on here so I don't lose them. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, fourth. That was tight. Right, let that drain. We now have a series of M6 screws with 5mm hex key. To remove the sump, using the mirror. I'll spare you. I'll bring you back when the sump's gone. Just a side note, someone has, let's see if I can put the camera around. Someone has put some reinforcing in here for this kickstand, and it's encroaching on the sump bolt. So what I might end up doing, I think, is I'll get it out of there. It's tight, but I'll get it out of there. Probably when I loosen all the rest of them off, and it drops out with a sump. So what I'll do for that one bolt, I think I'll reduce the diameter of the head, just so we can slip it back up in there, and it'll come back out again. All right, sump is out. Need to have a closer look at that. Next thing is the oil pickup, that thing there. So there's socket headed cap screws, can you see? There. So I'll just remove them and we'll get this thing out. There we go. This is the shaft that we need to get out. Working with mirrors is fun. Said no man ever. O-ring. Sadly, the sump gasket has held up in a few spots. Don't think it's got any goo on it, but it means I'm going to have to scrape it, and I hate having to do that. I'll just grab this O-ring out while we're there too. And now we can start on the outside. We need to remove the covers on both sides of the engine. Here we go. All right, can you see? Can you see? 5mm hex. Actually, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. We need to get this guy off. Trying to make this whole procedure as less awkward for me as I can, but still letting you see what's going on. Right. Let's just mark that before we remove it. The moment that you realise you don't have a centre pop at home anymore, they're all at work. I'll just try and put a witness on there with a hacksaw blade. That'll do me. This assembly is really flogged out. I've got movement in the shaft there, and these joints are they're suboptimal, is how I would describe them. So if anybody has got a good one, new old stock or anything of similar ilk, pop it in the comments. Tappy tap tap. Just keep the bolts with whatever it came off of. Much easier. Okay, so what we have here is our gear selector assembly, and this has to come off just like that. There is a spring in the back of it that fits over this pin for centralising, and there's two detents that need to line up. And we can take this off too, because we've got to get this bearing housing off. Torx bits, I haven't got bloody Torx bits here. I'll have to go to work and get them. God damn. Right, circlip pliers. This shaft here is the shaft that your selector forks pivot on, and that's got to come out anyway. It's on the other side of the motor, gets extracted. So right now, actually we can pop that circlip off as well while we're here. Got him. And with the other one, okay, so yes, that is a bearing housing. It supports the end of the cluster shaft that we need to extract from the bike. So it's got to come off. But before I go running off to work, wasting time going to get the torque drivers that I need, we'll go on the other side and remove the clutch. Here we go. Okay, to access the clutch cable, we need to remove these screws here, and they are Phillips head JIS, and they're number 3, and they're tight for this one. Wow. Wow, they're tight. Get the top on. This is a JIS vessel brand impactor, so it turns anti-clockwise with every hit, 12 degrees or something, and you ain't shifting it. I'm just going to have to reposition myself here so I can hammer this a little bit more easily. I got him. That got him. Yeah, they were tight. Wasn't going anywhere, as they say in the classics. Doesn't appear to be a lot of free play there. We'll have a look at the clutch adjustment when it goes back together. But at one stage there, he said that he suspected he might have had an issue with third gear because it felt like it was slipping under load. I suspect it could be clutch slip, but like I said, we'll have a look when it goes back together. Oh, help if you bend the tab out of the way, Andy. The best way to remove these cables is just to unload it here. Try and do this with one hand. No, I'm not gonna. Yes, I am. There. Cable is now safely away, and that assembly can stay as is. It's been a long time since I've worked on an XS1100, and for those wondering, yes, I still have mine. I love my bike. However, poor old thing's off the road. It's been off the road, needs some love. It's been off the road for 2 years. It's the result of when my wife and I were moving. The registration renewal arrived, like in the days of us packing. And at the time I thought, I can't deal with this, I'll deal with this later. So I just sort of put it aside. And it was sometime after we moved here, like the middle of that year, or sorry, like 6 months later, I thought, oh, I'll go for a ride on the XS. And then it dawned on me, oh crap, I haven't paid the registration. So I rang Service Tasmania and I asked them, I said, look, it's been 3 months or more. Is it possible just to pay this rego over the phone and be done with it? And they said, no, sorry, you've been too long. You're going to have the bike re-inspected. So that sort of went on to the, oh, one of these days I'll get to it kind of plan. And then then I went to move it one day and it had a flat back tyre. So I reinflated it and went straight back down again. So I've got an issue there I've got to deal with. And it's got a flat battery. So it's got a flat battery, flat tyre, no rego. So all of that would be required just to be able to take it for a ride. And then what I'd like to do is actually put it up on the healing bench and go through and tidy up some of the electrical stuff. It's got really messy wiring and it was never really done well, and it's only gotten worse when I've chopped into it and done a few things. So I'd like to tidy that up one day. That's on the plan, if I ever get around to it. Oh, 2 bolts, 3 bolts to go, sorry, 2 now. Screws, socket head cap screws. That should be it. Tappy tap tap. So this bike, being an early version, has the emergency kickstart shaft. Whether or not Michael still has the said Kickstarter is another question. I think they omitted that after there was some congestion around industry comments around Yamaha doubting their own reliability by adding the kickstart, so they chose to omit it. That's what I heard. You never let the truth get in the way of a good rumour. Oh, I missed one here somewhere. Let me just double check this. I mean, it's moving. I've got oil leaking out. It's probably just hung up on the dowels. Yeah, it must just be hung up on the dowels. God, it's being stubborn. Don't even remember them being this hard to get off. There we go. There we go. Oh, bloody kickstart shaft came with it. Oh, put him back. So I'll just have to undo these screws now on the pressure plate, remove the pressure plate, and then tab washer and nut, and I can extract the clutch. .27mm socket. Washer, clutch. Bearing and a washer. It can come out and stay with the clutch. This is the shaft that we'll be extracting that holds the forks, the shift forks. But the next thing I need to do is go and collect my Oh, go and get my torque drive bits so that I can remove that bearing housing. Here we go. The GoPro got hot from the map sensor and shut down. I had to give it a reboot, and now this has cooled down. So I'm just going to move this and do that again. Come to Papa, come to Papa, come to Papa. Right, bearing. And that is 5th gear. And we should be able to just pop him out of there. Oh, I should just slide off the spline. I don't understand why it's being so petulant. Come on, somebody help me understand. Oh, I understand. Yeah. God, of course. It's still got the bloody forks in there. We need to get the forks out because that's stopping it from sliding. Dickhead. So we extract that shaft I talked to you about. This guy. Now all of our forks will have dropped. There's no need to be frightened about it. Just I think I can move this now. Hang on. I'm going to try and fish these things out. Just bear with me. One. Get him out of the way. I think that'll be enough until I get the shaft out, and then these should be able to just drop down. So let's see if we can get 5th gear back out again now. Engaging on something else. I think I'll undo the nut on the other side, and with a bit of luck it'll just drop that shaft enough that I can manoeuvre that out of there. That's 5th gear, and I can see 2nd. So now just got that fork out of there. It's the middle one. There's only one more left in there somewhere. Right, I'm just going to pop this camera back under. Hang on. Hope you can see all right. So what I've done is I've just pulled the shaft towards me, trying to extract it out of that. Trying to extract it out of the bearing at the other end. Just try and lift that bloody selector fork up out of the way. I think I might have to put it back into its Right, one selector fork. Now we've got to try and extract the shaft like so. Alright, success on that part. Let's go to the bench. Okay, let's get you in there, shall we? We'll get you in there. So this is fifth gear that engages in second gear and actually drives second gear. And you can see there's a radius on that has worn into the leading edge, which doesn't help keep it engaged. They don't engage by very much. If you can see the shiny bit, that's all that's hanging in there. When the fork is actually selected into its position. Forget about what it can drop into here. It's where the fork positions it that's important. And there's not much we can do about that, but what we can do is we can shift this gear, second gear, we can move it that away, and we can do that doing a washer swap, which is a reasonably simple task. So here's the plan. We're just going to ignore it, pretend we didn't see it, and throw it all back together and give it back to Michael. Nope, that's not what we're going to do. I'll take it to work. I'll give it a kiss on the linisher and just try and square that edge up a little bit more. The method that you'll see a lot of out there in the forums, etc., and even on my YouTube channel, is dovetailing these. So undercutting the gear, the drive dogs. The theory is that you do it as a dovetail, and under load that dovetail will try and draw one into the other. But like I said, it's the fork that positions this, and if that does happen, you're just going to be side loading it. So the other part of that, now it does work. There's no two ways about it. But what we're doing is essentially sharpening those edges up. But what you're also doing is potentially eating through the induction hardening and getting into softer material. And I'm not a big advocate of that nowadays. I've changed my view on that. So I'm still going to grind it all away, but I'm just going to square it up. I just want to try and get rid of a bit of that radius. We'll leave second gear alone. It's got radius there. I'll get you in there and you can have a look. Not sure how much you can make of that, but there is definitely evidence of it where it's been jumping out of gear, and of course you can see the polished bits where it's been sliding across as it jumps out. So it'll flex out, drop back in, and then jump out and drop back in. And it sort of jerks, boom, boom, boom. So yeah, we'll just pretend we didn't see that, and we'll ignore it, and we'll do our washer swap. It'll give us a couple of more millimeters of engagement. We'll have square edges on our fifth gear, and that should be all good, and Bob's your auntie. So yep, there's going to be a part 2, and part 2 will be grinding the drive dogs, doing the washer swap, reassembling the gearbox, putting the bike back together. I'll have to order up a few bits, so some gaskets and O-rings and whatever else I need, oil, filter. I'll order those bits up and we'll get them happening. And yeah, we'll put it all back together and then be able to take it for a run and hopefully hand it over to Michael, and it'll keep on trucking for many more years. Till then, thanks for watching. Bye for now.